money on in this match?
I have to give it to Aime. I feel like they're just rolling with a bit more momentum at the moment.
Yeah. That's safe money right there.
Yeah, we'll definitely have to see. Perhaps this could be Newbee finally finding their identity and proving that Rusty is, in fact, incorrect, unfortunately. But they're getting a bit ahead of myself. We're only a champ select for game number 1. I'm already predicting the end of the match way too far ahead.
The end of time.
Yeah, exactly. As you can see, Rise and Vladimir banned away from Athena. Very safe, comfortable picks that we've seen him succeed on before, along with Jace and Rumble taken away from Newbee.
It's very interesting that the blind pick mid laners are getting completely demolished by Newbee. The last time we saw Coco, he went towards the Corki. Corki is not really the pick right now. You can pick him up, but the biggest issue, the nerfs that did come through him, is that his early game is a little bit problematic through his ulti. So it's just harder to wave clear, harder to take control of matchups than it was before. So I don't expect him to go towards that. He might look to counter pick, but overall, Aime has the position to counter pick. So we'll have to see if that gets through first phase, since Orianna is up and available.
Yeah, historically, we've seen Aime counterpick for Amazing J. Because he is that shot caller, it is so important to make sure that he ends up on a good matchup. Camille is a great matchup against a lot of things.
So because of all of these picks, or at least these bans coming through, remember the ridiculous picks, I'll say, are coming through. So as you said, the Camille, the Varus, the Rengar, all of these picks are up and available, and that must have been a strategy for Aime, quite honestly, because all of these bans, like I would say the Rumble ban is definitely a throwaway for the most part. That means that they can get the Camille and they can get the Rengar if they're interested in that. What's interesting is that Swift decided to move away from that Rengar, because usually that has been his focus, but they thought that Varus justifiably is the pick here.
Yeah, and this was something that you and Rusty were talking about earlier, the fact that we've seen Newbee sometimes leave that bottom lane on a bit of an island, and that leaves them falling behind as the game transitions into those later game team fights. Well, they've already got Varus, and there hasn't been any sort of bans towards that support champion pool just yet.
That's a good point where you mentioned where jungle, the Rengar gets picked, the Camille gets picked. That's usually Newbee's focus, because they do play towards top side so heavily and so well. The fact that they picked the Varus for bot lane priority, I hope it's not just for safety. And I hope that they will look to play towards that. That is going to be something we look towards. LWX is known as a more lane-focused carry, so perhaps that's going to be a change in focus, but we'll have to see what Sky looks to pick up. It's going to be the Rex, the Renekton. There we go.
Taking the, I was about to say turtle. That's an alligator. Into the top lane, into that Camille.
We might see a turtle skin. He's getting a lot of skins at the moment.
Yeah.
So very soon, you're not going to be wrong.
Udyr's entirely out of the realm of possibility. There are already 2 junglers. There's no chance. So, Aime will answer with the support as they look to limit Newbee a little bit. That Lulu pairs so well with Rengar.
And so this is a big question on Newbee's draft at this point, because they've counterpicked just about everything except for the Varus, obviously. But Lulu getting out of their control, Camille, Rengar, all of these picks are mostly inexcusable. Specifically, Lulu, who has grown a lot of attention lately, especially going into the next patch. It is still 7.4 people, so don't worry about that just yet. But yeah, this is a great combination coming out of Aime, and they have a lot of picks, at least specifically their bot lane, just coming up here in the second phase.
Yeah, we'll see how these teams decide to prioritize their bans, as you've got top jungle and support versus top jungle and AD carry, which means mid, AD carry, and support are the big one-ups left for AD carry and mid are the big ones for Aime, whereas Newbee looking for their mid and support. So Talon first ban, Zillion, interestingly enough, taken away from Athena.
Zillion makes a lot of sense, because if you have Lulu, we've seen, or at least I've heard of some Zillion
play. Oh, the unkillable Rengar.
Yeah, you're just going to have a lot of unkillable points. Not so much the Rengar. I mean, remember AD carry is still up and available, so there can be a potential Caitlyn pick. And so if you just have the very annoying composition of Camille just never dying when she dives into your composition, or the carry as well, that's going to be really difficult, especially since Aime is known as the team-fighting team. So giving them a lot of those options, especially since it's Athena's strength, playing those controlled mages in the mid lane, it's good to take away from.
Yeah. Currently, it looks like Jin Zhao is looking towards that Ashe without a Kled to sort of lead the charge and force the fight for them. They might have to go for something a little more standard by firing that enchanted crystal down whatever lane they decide to be in.
And that's fair, but the biggest point about this is that when I saw Jin Zhao play this Ashe last week, it was phenomenal. Not simply because of his Ashe arrow plays, but also because he sure, that's Amazing J, giving him a lot of space in teamfights to auto attack, but his positioning in those teamfights were phenomenal up against Xiaogu Reapers. So I think we'll see a lot more pressure coming from him in team fights just from auto attacking. You know, you don't want your Ashe just firing off arrows.
Of course.
So it's going to be fun to see how Jin Zhao has progressing lately, because he has been a shining light recently.
That's kind of the I feel like that's sort of the conversation with Varus on the other side, where he's going to be firing away his own arrows, but that's his purpose. That's what he's supposed to do. And now to help him out with that, looks like Moore is taking Karma to go for a very aggressive bottom lane in Coco. Safe and standard, nice long-range Orianna.
All right, so there we go. We're going to have the counter pick coming in. We mentioned that Orianna still being up and available. Didn't get pinched out on the second phase. The Aimee was a little bit more afraid of the Talon, which is interesting to see. But yeah, Orianna is a very safe pick for Coco, and it also really works for the composition. I think Aimee, though, is really lining themselves up a really strong comps. Even gets Ahri for Athena, which I have not seen from this man. Usually a control mage here.
Interesting. We'll have to keep an eye on his performance as a little bit more patient. I don't think he's actually played Ahri yet at all.
Yeah, exactly.
He's played Varus mid, but he hasn't played Ahri.
That's just his style. His style is far more centered towards control mages. So him picking up the Ahri is very interesting, because to be fair, you can technically play her as a control mage for your team and create space, but she's an assassin at the end of the day.
Perhaps that could be the whole synergy that we're hoping to see between Ben 4 and Athena in this matchup. Ahri, very good at pushing lane. She can follow very quickly with her ultimate post level 6. Maybe he's going to be following Ben 4 around the map a little bit more, but I could just be getting a little bit too far ahead of myself as well. Just hoping to see Aimee improve, because last week they got smashed pretty hard by WE. I mean, game 1 was certainly a competition, but game 2 was, it's one of those games where you're like, wow.
I mean, that's a fair point. I mean, WE has been smashing people lately.
Yeah.
They did go up against Chaggu Reapers when we were able to take the 2-1 victory. And they went up against Vici, and that might not be something you brag about, because Vici's not looking good lately.
Yeah.
But getting those 2 wins right now, they've in their last 4 sets, they won twice. So they're in an even setting. If they're able to win now, then they are in an upswing.
Yeah, that is the important conversation for Aimee. They saw success during their first few weeks of LPL play, but then immediately tapered right back off into 3 smashing defeats. Are they finally making their way back up, or was WE going to send them right back down?
Yeah, this is a good set to really decide that. And when you look towards Newbee, their last set, this is going to be very depressing. RNG lost 0-2. Snake 1-2 lost. IG lost 0-2. Game Talents 0-2. So they are definitely on a very major downswing. 4 losses in a row. The last time we saw them win, of course, was up against Chaggu Reapers. This is when we were hyping them up in week 3, saying, they defeated Chaggu Reapers. They defeated EDG. They could be the best, and then they decided to just disappoint us all.
Yeah. So this is Newbee still looking for their identity as a team, and it has certainly set them behind here in week 6 of the LPL. Hopefully they'll be able to show us something exciting in this game, as Aimee are on the upswing and are looking to knock this one out of the park.
And you know what? When we talk about exciting, I have been historically a fanboy of Scott. Now, I've got to make that very well known. It's not hidden. When he was left in obscurity in the LSPL, when he just wasn't playing on teams, left in contractual question marks, I was like, will we never see Sky again?
Yeah.
Will his lasting legacy be defeat in the LPL, and I guess later on in the LSPL? So this is going to be an interesting point to see whether or not he keeps up in the lane, because, you know, he hasn't been playing much at all. Of course, solo queue is one thing, but competitively, definitely not. So I want to see if he keeps up. He got a counter matchup for himself, but it's up against Camille. So
it's up against Amazing J's Camille. And every once in a while, Amazing J has one of those games where he's like, you know what? I'm just going to win the game.
This is what's going to be frustrating for the man. Oh, wait a minute.
Oh, Road.
Oh,
he doesn't get any
man.
Yeah, Moore is going to peel back off, and Swift gets level 2 off of the small Raptors.
Still a good challenge. I mean, Lulu can literally challenge every single one of those Raptors because of her Q being AoE. So that's just something they had to watch out for. Road's going to come out of that saying, I just needed a few more AP runes. just a little bit more.
Slightly increased damage instead. Meanwhile, Sky looks to take early priority in top lane. Amazing J will happily catch these minions as they push in.
And so top lane matchup, Renekton versus the Camille. This is very interesting because people have come out and said that Rengar, not Rengar, Renekton into Camille is pretty bad level 3, level 4, level 5, around that area, when Camille can really just choose her fights, can back away with her W and be able to take an advantage, especially since Renekton just shoves out the lane consistently, so he has to worry about Camille freezing on the tower, getting ganked, obviously, because of course if you get that one kill for Camille, it's all over, lights out. But then once you get level 6, then Elise can actually impact that lane. The dive pressure is there with the added flank damage, the added tankiness from the level 6 on Renekton. So this is going to be interesting to see whether or not Swift looks for his top side, but he just got revealed. Damn you, Jin Zhao!
They just spotted him out. Ben 4 is on the complete opposite side of the map, and Swift will continue to farm in his jungle, not even looking for the Scuttle Crab, whereas Ben 4, slightly more proactive towards his team, is going to prepare that just in case. But he still has his own. He's actually invading right now and looking for the Krugs. Perhaps seeing that Elise has unlocked him to go for the invade and steal away that Krug camp.
So this is where it's really worrying for both teams, because Ben 4 doing this, if he gets caught, he's dead. But at the same time, if he doesn't, he's a genius because he just stole a lot of experience from this team.
And the answer on the opposite side, Swift's so smart, he's going to head on out towards the other side. Meanwhile, trading in the lane.
Oh, here we go.
Athena doing some damage here as they both chug through those biscuits. And yeah, you can see Swift on the invade is stealing away Ben 4's Krugs now. Yeah,
Athena had to watch out there because he was definitely positioned out of that side of the map, but he, Orianna did not have his jungler beside him. That being said.
No, they don't see it. Oh, he should have just seen it.
Oh, red alert.
Oh, there's a Lulu there. Trying to play just outside of vision, but Coco kiting it around. Meanwhile, Swift has found Amazing J. You mentioned whether or not he goes top.
Oh,
what a read, Swift. What a shot!
Swift, my man! All right, that was ridiculous. Even cut out the flash. This guy is incredible.
And this is exactly what we said earlier. It's never been a question of mechanical skill for Newbee. We know they're very talented.
Yep.
But there's just been some sort of disconnect on the team. Well, he's connected with Sky right now.
I mean, yeah, this is when we do back away because, you know, those leads coming through, that's fair. He is a mechanical genius. That's fine. You know, we can back away and say, what does this mean now for Newbee? Can they utilize this lead? Sky is fairly green, especially in the LPL. I say this, people are going to be like, he did play on the team. But he hasn't played in a long time, so I want to see how he uses this advantage. If he does, like, this is Amazing J, if he got this lead, he would be looking towards mid lane. He would be doing quite a bit. With that being said, he's not going to get a second chance.
Oh,
Swift is looking for this man.
So clever. Immediately heads right back up to the flashless Camille, but Amazing J intelligently spending the 75 gold instead of going for his own, another set of potions, goes for life-saving wards instead and keeps himself safe. Ben 4 is going to take use of that window to steal away the Raptor camp from Swift as it respawns.
Yep. Take note, everybody. Control wards can save your life from just getting camped. So the camp strategy is now just in terror. Like, at this point, Swift probably isn't going to make a second visit up there because Aime's focus is now going to be in protecting Camille on the top side of the map. They do not want her falling behind. And if they do, then right now Ben 4 is level 5. If he gets to level 6, maybe he's going to be a little bit more comfortable taking that 2v2 top side. But for now, there's no reason to take that risk. And so there's a safe farming from the Camille. It's going to be a good one.
I love what Swift decided to get on the first recall. That's a Dark Seal Moby Boots. Taking a page out of Condi's book saying, all right.
To be fair.
You want to play Crazy Elise? I can play Crazy Elise.
Yeah, to be fair, that's a... Oh, no! Athena, relax there. Get out of there. Okay. Oh, yeah. Oh, you know what? They decided to just double down. There is no saving time for Swift here. His time is going to be spent here.
Oh, he cheats forward just outside of the vision. Amazing J again. Swift reads the dodge. He chases forward, and they have to reset, though.
Oh, this is
That's another turret hit, and Ben 4 comes in. Flash Bola as he starts building up some rage. Amazing J has got to be careful looking for the cooldown as that's a stun. He's got enough. They turn on to Swift, and level 6 from Amazing J. Hextech Ultimatum locks Swift down. He follows up, and Amazing J gets revenge.
And that's the one thing you don't want happening. That's Camille getting a kill.
Athena managed to kill Coco in the mid lane. Rogue was actually there as well. He was the one who got last hit on that.
Okay. All right, Aime. All right, so they get up with a kill lead there. That's a lot of things happening at the same time.
Yeah.
But yeah, just taking a note at the top side of the map. That was really well played from Ben 4. Yeah, we're going to get the replay on Athena. So he does get the Lulu gank. Let's see how that turns out. Yeah, okay, he gets the E. That's all you need. The charm, and you're going to be able to get the kill.
Lulu auto attacks are so strong.
Hey, to be fair, getting that kill is going to be nice because if he does get good back timing off, he can get a sight stone, and that's going to be very valuable for Aime, especially Aime, because then being able to roam out to the opposite side of the map. This time he did it for the kill. Next time he's going to do it for extra wards on the map.
Yeah.
And so that's going to be very valuable to them.
Keep an eye on whether or not Road moves around. He's seen a lot of success in the early weeks of the LPL by pairing up with Ben 4 and making aggressive plays. And Ben 4 actually seems like he was off to a little bit of a slow start with his hard farm, but now he's ganked a few times. He was able to get a kill and an assist, and is now going to face check into Swift. That's a cocoon. Lots of damage done to that Rengar, but he answers right back. Charm finds Coco, and he actually stealths in order to escape, so that is the Rengar ultimate. Whoa!
Wait a minute.
Yeah, it's 3 versus 3 in the mid lane, but we'll diffuse.
They made the guess, and you know what? That's respectable. I respect the girth on them to be able to say, Rengar's right here! Oh, not even anywhere clear, but that's a smart overall from Aime. And you mentioned Ben 4 had a slow start. I think it was actually fairly good because he did take that Krug camp in the bot side. So as I say that, get out of there, Amazing Jay.
They are hard diving. He's almost got his flash. Oh, thank goodness the minions prevent the Mobies from coming back up.
Yeah, so overall, Amazing Jay is hating his life. He wants this to end. He has himself the armor boots. He wants this to just all go under the rug. No, he actually just wants blood.
Yeah, he doesn't have his Hextech ultimatum just yet, but will force Sky's flash by using the tactical sweep.
So yeah, Ben 4 did have red buff, and at the same time had Ahri and Lulu very close by. Newbee didn't know about Lulu coming in, but at the same time, this just showcases that Aime is not afraid to put Jin Zhao in a 2v1. So it looks like Newbee's going to have a little bit of a harder time being able to support these massive investments in the top side of the map.
Yeah, and this looks like this is a little bit of a different Aime that we're seeing in these first 10 minutes so far. They're fighting. They're skirmishing. This isn't the Aime that's going to sit back and wait for the 50-minute team fight.
Yeah, and this is the Aime that we were waiting for because Aime of old, and I guess fairly recently, they roamed a lot. I mean, that's the biggest point about Amazing Jay in this matchup that I would have mentioned is that he's not going to be threatening Sky a lot. He would usually be threatening Coco in the mid lane because he roams quite a bit. Road also roams quite a bit. So these two side laners coming and converging onto the mid lane is definitely a worry, but I guess they're starting to go back towards that. And we wanted to focus on Aime's early game. Well, this is an early game.
Oh, yeah. Currently doing rather well. It's still dead even in gold, but we're starting to see some CS discrepancies opening up for Newbee that have been balanced out by those kills that Aime have got. So still a 21 CS lead for Sky with that first blood and the pressure that he was able to get onto Amazing Jay. And in the mid lane, Athena's still doing rather well against Coco. In the bottom, Jin Zhao is actually taking a lot of pressure with Road roaming so consistently.
Yeah, so Athena is the biggest winner right now on the side of Aime. Ooh, same with Ben 4. If you can get this off, it would be great because Swift has definitely went back to base. Oh, but that, yeah, you know what? That ward didn't catch him, so they're still fine. We're going to have to see if anything comes out of this one, though.
Yeah, they're going to have to know that something is up.
They're
Athena
investing.
is thinking of heading down.
There are blue wards on both sides. He is getting locked out of that one. No entry. Okay, so Ben 4 has to back away. That was really smart from Newbee to recognize that. That was indeed an option, and Rengar is not going to have an opening. He is still in the area. He has ulti too. He can just walk down the lane. It would just be very hard for him to do so, though.
They're wasting a lot of time here. What was dead even in gold is now a gold lead for Newbee as Sky has opened up his CS lead a little bit more. LWX has gotten some more farm, and Swift is able to invade rather freely into Ben 4's jungle and get a lot of vision out there. He's actually going to take the Krugs. Ben 4 is too late.
We did mention that Ben 4 has gotten an experience advantage when he was able to steal tramps while Swift was looking towards topside constantly. Of course, that got deleted just a little bit. Not only was the Krugs answered to, but at the same time, Swift had a lot of options to clear out his own blue side and bottom side jungle. So he's caught up in farm for the most part, or experience. But a lot of pressure on the top side. Here we go.
Yeah, that's the Hextech ultimatum. They've only got a few more seconds to try to burn through, but Rengar does so much. Sky goes down.
Yeah, not much you can do about that. They do a lot of damage, and Amazing Jay is going to be able to lock you down for a long time. So Sky didn't have flash. They must have timed it, because if he did, he would have been able to flash out immediately, preemptively, just not to get caught out by Amazing Jay's ulti. But that's just not an option for him. This is going to be a big focus. I mean, topside, topside, topside. And so this is a major question and test for Sky. He has a lot of assists to him because Swift has been taking a lot of the kills, but he's up in CS.
Yeah, and again, Swift, the moment he knows Rengar's on another side of the map, moves forward and tries to get some vision. Tragically, no wards, so he just scouts out the camps that have been cleared before heading towards mid lane. And it's actually going to be Moore who drops the ward on the opposite side of that bottom tier 1 turret. So we haven't seen any turret advantages just yet, and the kill that Aimee picks up, he's going to get them right back even in gold.
So that would be nice, and that would be fine if Sky had walked up to towards the top lane and didn't use his TP. Unfortunately, his response to that gank was to TP to the top side of the map. So what would look like, you know, a lot of teams would say, okay, now we've set up in the bot side, we've set up quite a few wards. We can actually look. Uh-oh, LWX. Okay, you know, he played it safe.
Yeah, he's fine.
They decided to back away from that entirely, so that was a wasted ulti from Jin Zhao, but well, it's not going to turn into anything. But back to the point, you would want to use those wards to set up for a TP dive. You would want to use those wards to, at the very least, just back away Jin Zhao and Road from this tower, and that would be a free tower for anybody. And so this comes towards the inexperience of Sky because he would have been able to really help out in all of that. But he's put himself back on this really poor situation. Maybe he gets got out by this.
Ben 4 is waiting just outside the vision. The moment he sees that Renekton overextend, he's going to follow up. But first, Krugs. Of course, you got to get your main course before you can get to dessert.
Yeah, just waiting a little bit just for the time to work out. And just take a look at Ashe and Lulu was playing really safely, just sending out Ashe hawk shots just to see if there's any dives happening because they don't know where Elise is. And they don't know, I mean, every single time Orianna is able to clear out the wave. Oh, he does get caught out here.
Now they see Swift. They're actually going to see Swift roaming up. Ben 4 is going to leap over the wall. No, he doesn't make it!
No.
Amazing J is there, but luckily he's got that blast cone to get him over, but Amazing J is being burned down. Hextech Ultimatum stalls it, but he drops to Amazing J. Ben 4 follows, he gets some damage, and goes down to Sky.
What an absolute disaster on the side of Aimee. That was a beautiful look. That would have been great from Ben 4. He doesn't get over the wall, takes a lot of time. I mean, Amazing J must be looking at that situation and just outright face-palming because he put himself out in a position where he got absolutely chunked up because the jungler wasn't there. So Aimee lost out in a scenario where they set up perfectly.
Tragically, that is going to put Newbee now in the lead, so Aimee fans, 74% of them were voted, 74% of fans voted for Aimee to take this matchup. Well, right now, Newbee looking to prove them wrong. As Moore gets that standard support trade, he's going to take advantage of the fact that he saw the jungle and get some vision on that side of the map.
Yeah.
It is Cloud Drake, so not a huge priority, but nobody wants to give that up for free.
Yeah, and honestly, when you look towards the bot side, I mean, look at Swift. This is deja vu all over again. You look towards his KDA, and it's like 3-1-1, been incredibly active on the map, got that boost of mobility, so he's able to really impact on people on the map very quickly. And this is the Swift that we always tend to see, or at least quite often in their victories, but also in a few defeats, because this is, I mean, we talk about Swift being an amazing jungler early on in the game, but then how does that translate later on? I mean, Elise doesn't look very good as the game goes on, does tend to descale, so she should be very active, and so big focus for me at the very moment is Sky with that TP. It's coming up very soon. There's a lot of pressure on the bot side of the map. Swift wants to open up the game with a bit of the lead that they have right now.
Yeah. Amazing J actually held on to his TP after that death, so he's still walking top. No Triforce just yet, but Sky a full level ahead, 40 CS up. He's got Black Cleaver, he's got Tiamat, he's ready to fight.
And this is what Amazing J will do for his team. This man is 40 CS behind, and he doesn't care. Not going to burn that TP towards the top side. He's really playing towards the rest of the map, and that's his turn to play. But the dragon being taken out, this is when you roll the dice. What is it going to be? What's the next one? We're not going to take a look at it.
We'll see it eventually. It's 6 minutes. But even in that play, Aimee, they push for the dragon. Amazing J gave up the lane, walked to Krug so that he could teleport safely if a fight were to break out.
Yeah.
Swift, however, taking advantage of that, is going to invade, and Athena, very cognizant, will try to combat that around.
And I mean, Amazing J right now, his sole focus is A, not to die. Very nice, very nice point. Yep. B, to try and help out the rest of the map because he wants to stop Newbee from looking to open up the game. And the main way to do that is towards a bot lane dive, especially if you have Karma and Varus who will be able to constantly look to shove. So, I mean, Aimee's bottom lane has been playing so safe and they were just waiting for that moment. Currently, Newbee's not looking for it, and so that's a little bit of a problem for them. They have TP up and available. You would want Elise to be bot side, but knowing Swift, he's going to try and just camp this Camille harder. That's his game plan. You know what? 3-1. Why not make it 4-1?
Yeah,
why not make it 5-1?
It's so interesting to see how Newbee are playing so safe in their lanes.
Yeah.
So that Swift can be enabled to effectively sit top. Maybe he looks bottom for some vision. Maybe he looks to get a ward around Dragon, but he continues to play around Sky in this match.
Yeah, and you know what? That would be fine against lower tier teams. That's a play where most top laners in the lower tier would start to fall out. They would try and play even more aggressively. With that being said, they're going to really chip down this tower.
Yeah, they get the recall timing onto Coco and almost take the first turret of the game as Athena gets some help from Ben 4.
And that is a major loss of Newbee. They wanted to be able to use that Renekton offensively towards the bottom side of the map. But because of you would have to say bad back timings, where Coco probably didn't communicate that well with Swift to be able to hold the tower. So there was just nobody defending it. And so that Sky's defensive TP to hold that tower, really, really bad for Newbee. And that's just Aimee really stagnating this game, holding it on just a little bit more.
Good guy Swift shows up just in time to last hit both of those wards. As the support's traded off. Ben 4 is...
I mean, he's gonna get seen unless he ultis. Okay, he's not.
Yeah.
He's not gonna look for it.
Not entirely certain what he's looking for, but even take a look at Coco on the map. He's playing so far back. You can see Sky is falling back as well.
TP.
And Newbee are using this window to pressure bottom. That's
get canceled.
And it is in fact canceled. Road overextends. He's forced to ult himself, but with no turret to fall back to. Xin Zhao is all alone. Here's Athena racing forward. Does he have enough damage? He gets one as Road kites it out, trying to make it to the blast cone. Ben 4's there in time and separates them, but still Swift follows over the wall, and they end up trading 2 for 2.
So that was very crucial from Sky to be able to cancel that TP because it was a trade. The tower, I believe it did go down.
Yeah.
Overall, that is a win, just a slight win from Newbee. It would have been much better for them if they were able to set up for the TP. As I mentioned, the TP did play out defensively in the mid lane, so they didn't have the ability for Sky to be there. So Sky's main role at that point was just to never allow Amazing J there. Never allow that to happen, or else his entire bot side would just get demolished and they would die. So most teams would actually just wait it out. Wouldn't even go for it. They would either try and bait out the TP or just not go for the tower. They decided to go for the tower, and thank God Sky was there to cancel the TP from Amazing J.
He had the Hextech ultimatum, he had Flash, he had everything to collapse on that play and make it bad. But Sky, it has been 8 months since last we've seen him in competitive play. 1, 2, and 3 right now, but he's 40 CS up, and with all of the pressure that he's been getting from Swift and now the lane swap, he has been set up for success remarkably well.
Yeah, he has been. That's one of the moments where if you're a solo queue top laner, you look towards your jungler, just stop taking the kills. It helped me in the matchup. You know, I would rather be 4 and 2. That would be nice.
And then your solo queue laner pings Leandri's Torment, 800 gold away.
Ah, yes. That's when they tilt you out of the... But that's another moment. That's just the point where, right now, as you mentioned, he is incredibly ahead. It is a question how he uses that lead now going forward.
Yeah, we'll definitely see. Newbee are currently looking to use that lead to open up more of the map. They're trading top tier 1 for bottom tier 1, but they do have a small push advantage with Swift up top.
It's kind of like when we had the lane swap metas, because both TPs, or at least both top laners, are down with their TPs. So they're sticking to the lanes, hoping, praying that the enemy team doesn't go any farther, or else we'd have ourselves a complete race towards the finish line. But they decided to leave it out. That means the top laners are really just kind of holding out. Oh, that's nice. Renekton's looking towards this.
Arrow catches Sniff before he can get up as Athena changes targets onto Coco. Swift comes back down and is taking a lot of damage. Sky joins the fight and gets into the back line. LWX drops Road as the fight disengages.
So that's just a 1-0 big win for Newbee, and that's because Renekton moved first. He was there to get there first. He did a lot of damage to the backside of the map. It would have been a little bit scarier if Camille was able to get there first, but it was just a very well orchestrated fight from Newbee.
This game is ending up a little bit more bloody than I think you or I expected.
Yeah, we definitely didn't expect this coming out of Newbee, especially when we recognized that they were putting in Sky fairly late. We were like, all right, we didn't even think he was on the roster. We were, at the very least, I was just surprised that he was coming in.
That's a new spelling of V.
Because I already mentioned at the beginning of the day, I was like, you know, Sky, I love this top laner from way, way back, and then I was just like, this guy's never coming back. He failed in the LPL. He failed in the LSPL. He's gone.
The only time he saw success was in the offseason.
Yep. And no one remembers the offseason. As that one person in the crowd says, I do. But yeah, he's coming back, and this is looking really good for him.
Well, I mean, apparently you remember it as well.
I guess probably that person's probably
so
me.
you're the one person in the crowd.
I'm probably the person who's announcing it and also the person saying, I do.
Yes. The multiple personalities of Raz.
The very empty studio.
Alrighty, so Aime are still looking to break down the mid lane turret. Athena's been doing work. He's 30 CS ahead. He's 2-0-1 for his team, but that Orianna has not broken. Now they've got LWX sitting and defending the turret. So instead, they're going to take the consolation prize of Ocean Drake as it spawns, but Sky with teleport is going to make them trade for it.
So we're going to have to see. It looks like Sky's going to remain the top side. He has access towards this tower. The ping did go down. Hopefully he takes a little bit of it. It's a lot of damage. Yeah,
he's going straight for the Titanic Hydra. This isn't Bruiser Renekton. This is, I'm going to murder you, Renekton.
Yeah, he's just going to stick to the matchup, which is very interesting because Camille does scale up to a point where she wins the 1v1, but if she doesn't have items, obviously, that's going to be a little bit of an issue. And he's going to be doing a lot of damage in team fights. He can just outright burst the person if he does look to stun them. So, combos there.
And take a look at how Amazing Jay is building this as well. As Swift might be caught here. Nah, he's fine.
Yeah, he's
just going to eat a bowl up. Whoa, Ben4.
All right, Ben4, watch yourself.
Actually managing to catch LWX. There's the arrow to follow up, and they catch that Varus. He goes down. They're turning on to Swift now. He drops as well, and Amazing Jay leads the charge with Ben4. That was unexpected.
Woo, all right, no one expects that except for Aime. You have to expect that when you're going up against Aime. That was an incredible flank coming from Amazing Jay. They did not see it coming. He still had TP.
It's after 20 minutes. Yeah. Amazing Jay has teleport, and with 3 dead, it's 5 versus 2 in front of the Baron pit.
Yeah, they're just going to go for it.
Recall out of more. He's not even going to try to go for the steal, or perhaps he's just trying to be safe. No, he completes it. There's no vision from Newbee.
Renekton's going bot side too. This is not going to happen.
Baron secured by Aime.
That's how fast a game could turn if you're going up against Aime. They fall behind early consistently. It doesn't work out for them, and then suddenly they can turn on a dime with a great fight. And so I'm sure the replay is going to come, but if it doesn't, let me just map it out for you. That was a great flank coming from Amazing Jay. He didn't use his TP, as I mentioned. He was just there when it happened, and then Road to be able to pop like a 3-man pop-up with a Lulu. And of course, if you have a Rengar on your face, if you have Camille on your face, and you know one of them is Lulu ulted, not going to happen.
There was definitely that feel when Rengar leaps into 3 people with crowd control, but then nails the bola onto LWX, and Xin Zhao follows up with the perfect arrow. Here's the replay.
Yeah, and I mean, we already mentioned everything else. Just take a look at this Ashe arrow that comes through. You really wouldn't expect it, other than, of course, the bola making it much easier. It was just a great combination, and so everyone was there for them, and you look towards Renekton, didn't see it happening, didn't see it coming. He was like, all right, I may feel, pants down. With that being said, Ahri getting chased down. She's going to survive, though.
Yeah,
she's okay.
Spirit Rush, very effective at allowing an escape. Finally, the top tier 1 and the mid tier 1 go down. So it's back to 3-2 in favor of turrets. So far, 1,500 gold lead off of that Baron, but it's still got 2 minutes left. Let's see if Aime can use that Baron advantage to break something else down.
Yeah, so the reset did come through. Ahri, she has a lot of items. The Void Staff, the Abyssal Scepter, a lot of just shred coming out of her in the mid game right now. So this is going to be interesting coming from Aime because you don't usually see a 1-3-1 coming out of this team. You just see the all-in team fight. So Athena doing very well on the Ahri.
Yeah.
Can just be on a side lane, and really no one can touch her, not even Renekton. If he does look towards her, she can just dash away, kite it back.
And I love how you can even look at the builds of Aime and see how they're preparing to transition towards those late game team fights. It's not Tiamat first out of Amazing Jay, it's Jarm's Fist. He wants the health and sustain instead of the wave clear. It's not full damage with Eluden's Echo out of Athena, it's Abyssal Scepter and Void Staff. He wants to be able to take a fight if one happens.
Yeah, and quite honestly, a lot of people have been favoring Dream's Fist if they're going into the full item that the recipe builds off of, because the sustain. Yeah, it's a really good item as a general point, just for the sustain, as I mentioned, the HP, it stacks up just nicely, and it's just cheap. So it's a nice purchase.
Yeah. As it is, though, Aime seems like they're a little hesitant to push, as they've got Amazing Jay prepping a side wave and Athena doing the same on the top side.
Yeah, honestly, a lot of the heavy working right now is on Athena. He did get that early on back, so he had to really set up the wave on the top side of the map. It looks like they're just going to give up a lot of that, so their 1,500 gold lead isn't going to look to turn into anything, because Rengar is all the way up there taking Krugs, and Camille's doing the same. I don't even know if she should be taking blue, but he looks like he's doing something. Overall, they need to set up towards this, and they're not really going to be doing much damage here. Newbee, if they had known, if they had full vision of the map, they could just go on top of this Ashe, but the very lack of vision coming out of Newbee, because the control coming out of Aime has been great. That means that they have no real understanding of where Ahri is, where Rengar is. So that's a plus side for Aime.
Yeah, very patient in pressing those control wards and side vision forward. A lot of safety for Athena in this split push, and a lot of similar safety for Amazing J.
And if I'm looking at Rengar, this is going to be a
Arrow's
choice
been
where
launched.
he goes towards.
Oh.
Woo! I mean, that's good.
That was.
Oh, they're going to go for it anyway.
Try it. Misses the charm though,
Okay.
and Coco's forced to back away.
That's just a little bit of miscommunication coming out of Aimee, because they could have made that happen if Rengar looked to fully go towards that lane, then Ari can go on, then you're 100% going to be getting the kill. Or if Ari just roams towards the mid lane, because Orianna's going to take a little longer towards coming to that tower, and then overall you either force him away from the tower completely, or you kill somebody. I mean, either one. But Aimee definitely messed up that execution, so the gold lead coming out of that entire Baron power play is fairly low. You don't see the 1,500 gold leads for Baron power play, but that's just because they weren't able to execute.
I love how Jin Zhao fired the arrow just behind him. It's one of the panic arrows.
Yeah.
You see it, and then if you panic, you walk into it.
Yep.
But if you keep your cool, or in this case, you keep your Coco,
No.
you stay nice and safe.
I'm not gonna. I mean, I've already given it a bit of time on that one. But yeah, I mean, he just tried to hard read him with that ulti.
Yeah,
I would have definitely flashed into that ulti. You know me. Just fat finger every. Not even fat finger. I'm just afraid as a general point.
Well, he didn't have flash. I think that was the downside.
Yeah, that's probably what
So
it
he's
was.
probably like, oh, thank goodness. But Ocean Drake spawns. Aimee still have got a plethora of vision after the Baron buff wears off. And with Newbee all sitting underneath their tier 2s, there's a small window of opportunity with Amazing J's teleport for them to try to burn through its health.
So this is going to be a little harder for Newbee now, because their early game was pretty crisp, was pretty clean, and really that's what they were banking on, because they had so much priority towards the bot side of the map, and their top side was very, very good at skirmishing. As the game goes on, obviously, looking towards Elise, she has now armor items. She got the Dead Man's Plate. She's not going to be doing a lot of damage. She's going to be pure tank / supportive Elise. Sure, Coco's going to be doing a lot of damage, but you just have a poking Varus, who hopefully, if he can get his poke off, that'd be fine. If the actual team fight starts, he's not going to be providing consistent DPS. So a lot of damage has fallen off across the lineup of Newbee, unless if they can get a good pick off. If they can get a good pick off with Swift, and then Sky, you know, he does a lot of damage right now at this state of the game, then sure. But right now, looks like Aimee should be very
Oh, Swift. I mean, you got the red buff, but what of it? Okay. Looks
Nothing,
like he's just going to fight. Yeah.
Oh, they probably just
Skirmish.
realized that Elise is a little bit too tanky.
Yeah.
He's like, all right, you know, this is definitely not AP.
I didn't notice it until you pointed out that he did switch toward the Dead Man's and that Aegis. I thought he was going to go for the full, like, Leandri's Rylai's Void Staff.
Which is honestly really interesting from Swift, because usually when he does get that lead, he's like, all right, let me hard carry
We're
this
going
game.
in.
This is when you hold my beer. This is when I just go in and I'm going to hard carry all of you people. I don't trust anybody. But going towards Tanky, obviously he recognizes at some point of the game, he's like, all right, I may have a little... Oh, tried to trick him up just there. Got to give that one a little bit of recognition. But yeah, usually you see Swift looking for the hard carry. This time around playing towards the rest of his team. It's not a snowball that they first anticipated.
Seems like they're playing very patiently right now, but Aimee are just moving back and forth, looking for a weakness, looking for some sort of opening to crack a tier 2 turret. They found
PP.
Amazing J, and they're able to CC lock him. Even if he buffers against the wall, it's not enough. Hextech Ultimatum and Repel means Swift can follow. He heals up just a touch, but he's almost got the cooldown. His hook shot gets him over the wall. Red buff burning away is not enough to drop Amazing J. He's still making for it, but he slows himself down. Flash Cocoon, Swift autos, and secures it with some neurotoxin.
Oh, all right. So that was getting a little sticky. Renekton definitely went in to hopefully just stop them from saving out the Camille. But overall, they definitely compromised their positioning to be able to get that kill. And thankfully, Aimee didn't cut it out. So they got it. Camille's down, and they can look to set up towards the Baron. It is up and available again.
Yeah, there is no vision for Aimee on that side of the map. They've got one ward just outside of the mid lane and one that looks like it was a Scar ward just on the far side of Baron. But in the actual pit itself, there's not too much. However, Newbee, they decided to take their kill and just sit on it.
This is when Newbee starts to really transition their pressure. Because they were able to get that kill, they can reset the map, because a lot of the vision that they do have is a lot of defensive vision. They couldn't get a lot of wards down because Aimee, when they got that Baron, a lot of vision was just completely swept free. Now that the kill is down, Camille is not going to come up to the map, and so Aimee are not going to look to further pressure. This is the time they're not going to be able to get Baron currently, but they can really start to get themselves back in the neutral point of this game.
Reclaim control, or at the very least fight for it somewhat, as they get a few wards over. They're spotted out by the hawk shot from Jin Zhao, as Amazing J sets up towards the bottom. So it looks like IMA are going to play that sort of split push Baron vision game.
Yeah, but you saw how hard it was to kill that Camille. Even though they had her completely nailed down, she went out and was very, very close to escaping entirely.
Almost made it, yeah. She almost had the hook shot off cooldown a third time.
And you look at this team, and the really only damage dealers here, if you're not counting Renekton, is in that Orianna. So Orianna, as the game goes on, a lot of pressure is on her at this point. If they can't get LWX to poke out crucial targets, it's going to be on her to get that crucial ulti. If she can get it down, the shockwave, with that being said, Amazing J.
Yeah, Sky has no teleport, which means there's no answer for Amazing J. He's getting a lot of damage on the tier 2 and breaks it down before Sky can respond. He doesn't quite know where to go. You can see him pulling back between mid and bot lane before he finally has to answer.
And this is where it gets really, really awkward for Renekton versus Camille, because Camille can't really take over the 1v1. If you leave her to the lane, she will take towers very quickly. So Renekton, he wants to support the fight. His team fight Renekton is going to be much better than the Camille if they can actually nail down the Camille much faster. She has GA faster than Renekton, so I would actually favor Camille in team fights as well. Camille right now is just overall more effective on the map. But that was just Sky looking at toward the map, misjudging the scenario, and he lost the tower for that. TP advantage for Amazing J though, so Sky is actually pressured towards playing to the rest of the team.
Yeah. Perhaps those 8 months might have set a little bit more rust than we can expect. 1, 2, and 4. He's 3.5 items, and taking stock, it looks like, as you said, Coco is the big damage source for Newbee as an arrow catches Swift. He face checks into a brush and gets CC locked into oblivion. Then 4 follows up onto LWX, but finds himself a crocodile to answer. And IMA set up inside of the vision that they have control of and pick a kill.
Now, what was that, Newbie? You had a blue trinket. It was up and available for LWX, and on top of that, you have an Elise who can just throw out W. That's all you need to do. So right now, they're really scared. The blue trinket now comes up. You know what? It would have been fine if you had Elise, but Elise definitely face checked when she didn't need to.
Oh, Athena tries to look for the solo kill onto Moore as he uses the Spirit Rush. Amazing J over the wall. He's got a Hextech ultimatum. His target is Coco, locked down in the middle. He's going to heal from Redemption, but first they've got to get past the Crocodile.
No.
Both of the tanks are separating, and Coco solo kills with some help from Road, who flashes to keep him safe. They follow up onto LWX, and now Moore is left running for his life, but you can't escape the bladed lady, the gray lady, excuse me, as Amazing J, he's about to have his hook shot once again. There he goes. Arrow misses. Amazing J doesn't need that help.
Knowing the hitbox on that Ashe ulti, it would have hit. I'm just going to put it out there. People will be like, no, it wouldn't have. But you know what? I don't trust that anymore.
But immediately, I may follow up on the success of that fight and turn towards the Baron. There's no tank here just yet, so they've got to be a little careful.
Yeah, they're just getting ready for it. So that was a big win for IMA. And overall, Camille is just so strong. You saw the tank fight versus tank fight. Camille was much more effective because, A, you're going to do a lot of damage. B, GA on top of the Camille. Sky had to completely back away, so he couldn't really enter the fight once again. So overall, that was just a big win for Amazing J to be able to recognize, yeah, I'm going to win this out. He has a lot of damage, and that's, and you know what? LWX, more, Coco can't handle him.
Things looking good for IMA as they're starting to find their stride, despite the attempt from Newbee to get themselves back into the neutral game and start contesting. It's slowly but surely slipping out of their hands, as IMA now turn towards the Mountain Break with a Baron buff already stacked on their shoulders to help them break down some tier 2 turrets. The defense has been admirable so far, but how long can Newbee hold on? Yeah, and this is the last dragon. So going into the Elder Dragon, they have 4 dragons to their name if they can take this one, barring a random steal. And that's just literally 2 ocean dragons, a ghost dragon. A ghost dragon, I would say that. You know what? No, that's not a ghost dragon. That's not Danny Phantom. There's no Mordekaiser in this game.
That is definitely a cloud dragon and an earth dragon. And to combine, you're like, that doesn't really make any sense. That's not really going to do anything for you except for the healing coming through. And the earth dragon is always really helpful. But once you get an elder dragon really stacked up with all of these, that's going to be a little bit ridiculous. So IMA suddenly has an insane amount of pressure going towards the next dragon that will come through. And so, yeah, they're definitely in the driver's seat.
Oh, yeah. 225 true damage per auto if they get that Elder Dragon, but they set up with a split push. Amazing J still holding on to that teleport rather effectively. This is that late game Camille versus Renekton. You can see the true damage is exceptional. No amount of resistance can protect against that, and I may now break down the top tier 2 and start setting up for the middle inhibitor as they've cleared that one out as well. Yeah, and that's the Camille everybody tends to fear because, yeah, sure, you can deal with her in the lane. Everybody will say, you know, give me the counter pick. But then you get the counter pick, you camp her in lane, and then you lose as a team because you couldn't put. And you just make that one mistake, and suddenly Camille is ridiculous.
So we have an issue.
Cocoon finds Athena, but there's no follow-up. There's no chains of corruption. There's no Whimsy or anything. He's chunked down to half, but that Ari's just going to heal up, and nobody's answering Amazing J. He solos the top inhibitor turret. Sky is recalling in base right now.
Do they think they can kill her?
That's a Cocoon, and they have to pull themselves together. They have to make a decision before Aime makes it for them.
I'm sorry, I don't even think they have a decision available to them. This is really hard. They pull too many people to Camille because Camille is too tanky, does way too much damage. They cannot stop her unless if they pull at the very least 3 people. And if they do that, they lose this tower. Aime is playing this as well as they can because they recognize, what can you do? You have no damage. Coco, the only damage threat that we're really looking towards, is not even really chunking us out. He's not really threatening our lives. And so this is a very tough time for Newbee because they did have that early game lead and they've lost all of it.
Yeah, they've still got Baron buff for about 30 seconds, but the push seems like it might have ended. Oh, just kidding. Here's Jin Zhao, Athena, and Road. Double Ocean is going to keep them topped off as they get one final wave of minions in there, and Amazing J sets up on that bot lane side wave to continue tearing Newbee apart.
Yeah, so they definitely wanted to reset after that point. Ashe and Lulu are honestly just kind of overstaying their welcome. Rengar is way back at base, decided to reset. Has his GA, so that's double GA. Amazing J never got his GA proc, so he's just sitting pretty healthy right now.
Yeah.
So if they look to dive, I mean, they can do it. Their diving threats have GA. They're not afraid of death.
Sky's actually going to force the fight. He tries to teleport in from behind as Athena's there, but Ben 4 dives onto LWX. Sky is coming in from behind, but he's already lost the turret.
Oh.
He's found Ben 4, but decides to go for Athena instead, looking for the target, but he just can't find it. And Aime, much faster to the punch, are able to drop Swift and Coco before Sky can even get one. Amazing J follows up. Hextech Ultimatum keeps LWX locked down and under his own Nexus turrets. He falls to his grave.
Yeah, you're not going to be looking towards your Nexus turrets as any sign of safety because of the amount of shields of Amazing J. This is game over. This is the first game to Aime, and it's looking pretty hard to be able to take them down.
Yeah, the Nexus turrets crumble under the weight 38 minutes in. Aime take game number 1 against Newbee.
And what a game that was. Just take a look at these men. Fairly happy about it, and you kind of have to be. Amazing J didn't buckle to that pressure. The pressure kept coming, and he stayed calm. He stayed collective, and we talked about him being a shot caller for the team. Well, I'm glad he stayed calm because if he would have had a mental boom, the rest of the map would have fell.
Yeah.
But no, they definitely stayed to it.
Mental boom's not a great thing.
That's not good.
Generally. Joining us on the desk to help break that down is Rusty.
I'll tell you what did happen in that game, though.
What?
Jin Zhao had his wheat bix. He had his breakfast.
Yep.
He was ready to go. That guy was a beast. The Ashe arrows always connecting. They were very clutch arrows, and yes, it was the rest of his team working around them, but man, that's something that we haven't seen often from Aime, and it's really impressive to see this at all. The shot calling coming from multiple members of the team. If you're playing Ashe, you need to be the one saying, I'm throwing the arrows, otherwise you'll be too late and they'll always miss. So
yeah.
Aime with holistic control.
And I don't want to trash on Vici, but remember, we have that comparison between Jin Zhao and how he's able to use his Ashe arrow. He's very calm about it, can use it very well around his team because his team sets him up to be able to do it. And so you see the communication happening. You look towards Vici, obviously you're just kind of missing a lot of arrows. So that's a good comparison of being able to see what Ashe can do in the right setting.
And yeah. I love how he was able to keep his cool over the early game. I mean, you saw the gold graph. Newbee had a slight advantage. And Jin Zhao, I think at one point he was down 30, 40 CS in lane because Road was constantly roaming. Yeah. So still able to keep his cool. Aime showing us something a little new here.
Yeah, and we just saw that damage graph. That's a lot of damage for a Camille that was very behind in lane. So that's just the next example. I mean, people will look at that and say, yeah, get that Camille out of my face, immediately ban it. But that's just the point of mention where Newbee, they did play towards that top side of the map, and they had an advantage, but they just didn't know how to open it.
But you can see that from the draft as well, right? They pick Renekton to beat the Camille. They actually put a lot of effort and emphasis in terms of early pathing from the jungler towards the Camille as well to make sure that he's down. They get a fantastic Cocoon, one of the best predicts that you'll often see from an Elise, to make sure that he dies. They go back again the second time, and the only problem is they straight up cooked the second gank. Otherwise, that was it for Aime. Like, they would have just won through the Renekton Newbie. Instead, it's a mistake.
See, that's fair. That is a good point where the ganks come through Swift and they're always successful. His prediction is always on point. But then when we see them have that complete lead, sure, it was cooked, but he can still pretty much stand on his own. Swift is massively ahead, but then they just don't know how to attack the bot side of the map. Aime is prepared and ready for the dive that never came.
Yeah, I think the major difference, though, that I did have to bring about is that Ben 4 adapted firstly, and the way Swift got the first gank was by staying up there for a really, really long time, which gives a lot of availability to the Rengar to move around and get extra farm, excess farm. And he's lucky that he got the kill in the first place, so that could have been really bad for them. And the fact that he came up the second time really does change the pace of the game. And honestly, not going bottom lane is fine, because for both of these teams, their bottom lanes are facilitators, but one was hitting all of the Ash arrows, which was the biggest difference.
Yeah, I mean, Piercing Arrow can only do so much, and Chains of Corruption is, what, 1,000 range compared to the Ash Arrow, which is global engage and set up for your team?
Yeah, and I mean, whenever we look towards the Piercing Arrow, or just the Varus pick in general, teams, especially RNG, they look to prioritize that, they pick it, and they play around its strength. And that's something that I wanted to see, because that's Newbee picking up Varus. That's like, okay, that's great, that's fine. Are you going to be able to use it? And they didn't. Varus was a non-factor the entire game. And so it was able to get, he was able to get the tower, but then they lose. It was just a trade in terms of 2 for 2 when it could have just been an outright victory for them.
And this is something that I want to highlight, because Newbee started the game off relatively strong, but actually this particular fight that leads towards Aime getting a Baron is what changes this all around, and it's Ben throwing a bowler, Road also turning him into a critter as an Ash Arrow connects from super far away, and it's the acknowledgement that as a team, we're going to fight as a team. We're going to do everything as a 5-man unit, and Newbee play into that. They consistently allow IMA. WE did this the last time they played. They allow them to be a 5-man unit, allow these ganks and fights to happen, and as a result, IMA actually get the game.
There we go. The Road being able to get the MVP, he was a major... I guess the major plus for the team in the early game. He was able to get that gank in the mid lane to help out Athena. That was really good for him. And then we saw him getting those 3-man knocks up in that very fight that you mentioned. So he was a major player, and honestly the rest of the team was. We mentioned that one entire fight. Newbee thought they were in a 3v3. But you go up against Chaogu, you go up against Aime, you're never in a 3v3. The rest of the team's going to be there.
It's always going to be a 5v, whatever you bring.
You got to be able to bring more people, even if it's excess. You got to bring people and expect it.
But quite simply, the reason that he's deserving of an MVP here is because he roamed twice from bottom. He got a successful gank off in the middle lane. Doesn't matter if he gets the kill or not, because they get Athena going. The Ahri's able to move around and outplay Coco a fair bit throughout the rest of the game. Road's a proponent in every single area of the map, not just support. And it's because they're able to draft at least something that matches pushing early so that he can roam and the pressure's alleviated.
And that's what's special between Aime and just about every LPL team, where you look towards Jin Zhao just being put in a 2v1 consistently, or at least even when they were a successful team in the last split, just he was always in that 1v2 and he would always be able to get CS and just play as safely as possible. Meanwhile, Road is just getting a lot of advantages on the top side of the map. He was able to go all the way towards top, and nothing came of it. But him being there said, hey, you know what, if this gank does come through, if you continue to bully my man, Amazing J, then you are going to find yourself a very unexpected 2v5 or 2v3. It's just a number game that Aime is always prepared for.
And I feel like this brings us back to the point that we talked about before the game, the fact that we're not questioning the individual skill of Newbee. I mean, we saw Swift pop off. We saw Sky actually outplay, I believe it was Ben 4 and Amazing J in that sort of 2v2. Can they possibly bring it back in game number 2 and set us up for a game 3?
I mean, we had a good set, so we'll have to see.
Yeah, we'll keep our eyes on it. We're going to go and take a quick break while we get ready for that matchup. We'll be right back.